How we doing today? Hey, we're down here and it's a little cooler today, a little nippy. So I'm warmed up a little bit here before I talk with you. So what we want to talk about today is I just want to let you know to beware. And let me tell you what I mean by this. I'm older, I've been around, I've been through the good, the bad, and the ugly with life. And I noticed there are a lot of other channels that are pushing coaching and all this other stuff, all these programs and all. But just beware. The reason I say that I've had clients that were coaches and come to find out their behavior patterns were very narcissistic. So just beware on anybody you take information from. I designed these um, I designed these to where they're just raw and real, and it's like we're just having a conversation, and we're talking about life and how to get through this life and be more productive and find that happiness, find that joy, find that healing that we need. This is really what life is about: is finding balance of mind, body, and spirit. When you find that, life opens up unlimited opportunities. But when you've had parents or you've had a family structure that has been very dysfunctional, and not just this um, life, not just this generation, but even the previous generations, it's one generation after the other, and you're the one now that has the higher consciousness, that you feel and you understand that something is not right. And then when you start questioning everything, then that's when we're typically attacked, undermined, betrayed. So what I want to do with this video is just say, beware of certain things. If you notice, what's different on this channel is I try to make everything very simple. Everything's very real. I try not to use big fancy words. I try not to use anything that would put it out of the average person being able to comprehend everything I'm talking about. A lot of the videos, they use these different definitions, and you got to go look them up and try to figure out what they're talking about, and and a lot of labels. So I just want you, whatever you do, just make sure you're making good choices. And part of this channel is helping you understand how to make those good choices through your internal guidance system, through balancing yourself, mind, body, and spirit, to be able to be a whole person, and to understand the steps of healing. And we're going to talk a little bit more today on that deeper healing. A lot of people said, well, you've told me your story, you told me a lot about your background, but how did you actually find your healing? So I guess in a way, sometime throughout my life, I've got little spouts of healing there, here and there, but my overall balance has been off. And then it's because I had no love in my life. My wife, and I've talked about my wife, you met her, and she's just absolutely amazing. I never knew what love was until she came back into my life. We were kids, and I remember what a wonderful, special human being she was. I knew it at 15 years old. So you might say, Joe, why didn't you stay with her? Because I had a mother sitting there telling me that I was worthless, that she was not, that I was not good enough for her, and I was not worthy of a girl like that. My mother basically told me to lower my standard. I look back, and today I can't even comprehend a mother saying that to their own child. And I've told you that story on other videos, but what I want to do is help you to understand that when I reconnected with her, so much other things began to clarify itself, if you will. When we reconnected and I started getting in touch with who I was and who I am and what I always was and wanted to be, but I had zero support. And a lot of you might be that way too, that where you have nobody in your life giving you any support of growth. I've had people say on some of the comments, well, how do we work around these toxic people and find our healing at the same time? The reality is the world is full of toxic people. They say, 20% roughly of all people are narcissistic. I think personally, I think it's a lot higher, especially today. I think a lot of the materialism has really driven people away from who they are. Me and my wife, we don't need a lot, but we like to have um, things that help us to grow. We spend a lot of time and resources on learning more about healing, about energy work, about quantum physics, about a lot of different things that are far beyond. This is what I tell people is that when finding your mind balance, mind, body, spirit balance, your wholeness, think about it this way and give me feedback on it, see what you think. We are a spiritual being having a physical experience here on this earth, right? We have a body. Our mind, we're finding now, our mind in our head, our subconscious, superconscious, is the communicator between our body and our spirit. Now we're finding out that the heart is like the second mind, is what based on the research. So it's like you have the ego, and then you have living from the heart. You have your intuition. Your intuition and all comes through your heart, right? A lot of people say it comes through the mind, but I believe it comes more through the heart. When you live from the heart, that's when your intuition. You're raising your consciousness level up. People, narcissists, and most people live more in the body and the mind. If you think about it, most all of our therapy, from what I understand, that it is, you can only look at the mind and the body. And correct me if I'm wrong on this by any therapist that may be watching this. I'm trying to learn more about it, but every therapy session I went to, they never even mentioned the spirit. So I'm like, how do you heal somebody when you're ignoring one of the three items that creates wholeness? And the most expensive part of it. If we go back and fix the spirit, heal the spirit, wouldn't that automatically then pull the mind and body into line? People want to know how I began my healing. That's how. Rather than trying to fix myself or balance myself from mind and body, I went back. Remember, I told you the seventh therapist I had that made all the difference in the world, and I realized that's where my problem was in the spirit. And when I talk about the spirit, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about our spirit self. That's who we are. Everyone has a spirit. It's a matter of the consciousness level based on how the person behaves, based on how they interpret life, if you will, based on their consciousness level. If a person has a desire to raise their consciousness level, then they're going to become much more aware. As you become more aware, your consciousness level rises. An empath is a far higher consciousness level, whereas a narcissist operates in a much lower consciousness level. They operate in shame, guilt, fear, deceit. All the lower energies is where they operate out of, from the mind. Thus, they can't relate to your heart. They can't connect to your heart. They play on your sympathy when they're down, but they don't connect to their heart. So what I want to, hopefully you'll understand, is that when since a lot of people have asked me, Joe, where did you first start your healing, or how did you get there? I realized that my problems were not in my head. My problems were not in my body. They were in my spirit. My spirit had been so broken. And I think that's one of the missing links. And in the book, I talk about what it takes to heal that spirit. That's what I tell about the trapped emotions. I told you that I always, in some other videos, where I always felt like I fell through the cracks. And this was another place I fell through the cracks because it felt like I was in a place to where not a therapist could heal me, but yet a preacher couldn't hear, or a pastor or bishop, they couldn't heal me either. I felt like there was something in between that, and there was. And it was these trapped emotions that you can get released without revisiting the trauma. And I did it. I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't gone through that process. And this is where you get into energy healing outside the realm of the average person, and they brush it off. But most of the people watching this channel, I'm sure, are much more open-minded, especially if you tried everything else and you still don't feel like yourself. Today, I believe I came to this earth. I was born into this earth, high consciousness, ready, excited about life, ready to go. And I had a home environment that did nothing but just break that spirit, chipped away of it every day. At 16 years old, when I got away, I started slowly building it. Every time I went back to try to make good or try to make a connection, because I felt like I always wanted a connection with my parents. And connection is part of being a higher consciousness person. Low consciousness people do not have connections the way people that operate from their heart, from love, from peace, from harmony. To have a connection, you got to be vulnerable, and you've got to have trust. That's where the whole love develops and can be nurtured. If you're dating somebody, or you are friends with somebody and you don't trust them, how much of a friendship is that? You can call that an acquaintance, and that's fine, as long as you know how far you can go and how you're protected. Never leave yourself vulnerable. The people that I thought would be there for me years ago was not there. I had a friend I grew up with. He's passed away now, but he took a different route in his life, and I just feel like we never could connect. And looking back, I see what it was and why we chose different routes. Neither one is right or wrong. It's just different routes in life, and we looked at life very differently. So what I try to make sure people understand is when I talk about the spirit, and again, I said this on another video, but I don't call myself a religious person. I call myself maybe a person that seeks truth through the spiritual realm, spiritual higher consciousness, understanding that we're all here to help one another, not to bring them down. A narcissist believes that another person has to lose in order for them to win. Person of high consciousness level believes that everybody can win working together. And that's what the family structure is built on. Taking care of one another. Everybody wins. Everybody takes care of one another. Nobody's left behind in that. In the end, well, during the earth life for narcissists, they think they're winning. They think they won. I've told you a story about my father. He's living in my house now. He thinks he won. Reality, he lost everything that mattered. Anything that he will take with him, he destroyed. Anything that's going to be left behind, it won't matter. The house, it really doesn't matter in his eternal evolution. What he did to attain that house is what matters. How you treat people, what your intent, my mother's intent, was to deceive and weaken her children. You know, my brother paid the ultimate. My other siblings are struggling. All of us have. Didn't have to be that way. Again, I don't know if she sits up in her house and thinks, hey, I won. But in reality, she's lost everything that's mattered. I've heard some people say, Joe, they were destined to come to Earth and to give us that challenge. I've even looked, I know a little bit about the soul contracts, things of that nature. I just can't imagine that we signed a contract, our soul sent a contract, says, I'm going to come to this world and I want you to abuse me and see how I react. To have a soul contract that says, I'm going to inflict evil upon you. Some channels support that. I don't. I think we're here for challenges, but I don't think we were here as designed for evil. I'd like to hear y'all's intake on it. What do y'all think? Do you think we have soul contracts? We make agreements with these parents and other people, and we come here and they're supposed to abuse us? There's another problem with that if that were true, because if they were a soul contract to come here to do that, then it seems like they've lost their free agency, their ability to live and grow themselves. So does that mean they're come here just to sacrifice themselves and their family? That doesn't sound like the God that I'm thinking of. Y'all tell me what you think. I think there's zero excuse for these narcissistic behaviors. I don't think there's soul contracts that say come down here and abuse. Matter of fact, I had, if you're familiar with an angel reading, had an angel reading done, and this lady didn't know my mother. She could tell that she knew a little bit about the background, but she said in that my mother was supposed to be there to help me develop myself. And as an empath, I could feel when I was growing up how my mother just hated herself. She just had this deep sorrow, deep sadness within her that I still feel today. That's why I just wished, I think that when it comes to forgiveness, which we just did a video on that, but when it comes to forgiveness, I think the hardest part on forgiveness is really forgiving ourselves. Forgiving myself that I didn't understand this sooner, that I didn't understand this years ago to where I could have taken precautions to protect myself, to protect my siblings. I think that's where I've had the hardest time. It's not forgiving others, it's forgiving myself. Not being stronger. When in fact, on the surface, I beat all the odds. I'm still here, but the knowledge I wish I'd had at 16 would have put it into a much more productive life, if you will. I would have been able to feel like I would have been more productive, being able to help others. And me and my wife, we would have been together. And I missed that part. And another point a lot of people ask, they said, how are you supposed to feel about your parents' death? My parents are still alive. But when they do pass away, the chance, at this point, I've already mourned the parents I never had. So right now, since they're still attacking me from the book and um, this channel and all, it is what it is. I am trying my best to put out quality information on these videos to show, to give you information that I wish I had had at 16 years old. If I had the information I'm telling you guys today, that would have been a complete game changer for me. I want this to be a game changer for you guys. There is so much information out there. Just I want to make sure you're getting quality information, real. A lot of the channels, a lot of the people want to sell. I I've run across it to where I believe there's narcissistic people out there trying to lure you into some of their practices and stuff just to make money. Just be careful, that's all. I want you guys to have the best life possible. I want to be here like, maybe the father you've never had, maybe the uncle you've never had, the brother, whatever it might be, that says, I believe in you. That says, you can do it. You have it in you. You can do amazing things. And I'm here wishing them for you, praying for you, helping you understand to believe in yourself, to love yourself, to live your authentic life, your best authentic life. You were born the perfect you. You had amazing love for yourself. Think about every baby you've ever seen. Aren't they excited to get up and crawl and run and learn to walk and all that kind of stuff? And imagine if we had that amount of excitement our whole life. That's the way it's supposed to be, and we haven't had that experience. Just know that you're loved. I appreciate and have gratitude for all of you. Like and subscribe if you found like this is what you're looking for in life, and if I can help you out in any way, let me know. From my heart to yours, I wish you nothing but blessings. Bye bye.